Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to my channel. This is Die Antinatalist, and um, this is a late night video. I just wanted to create this video tonight before going to bed because I have some really interesting things to show you today. I was at an estate sale today, and it was really interesting. I was there for 3 hours, and I picked up some really cool Americana vintage collectibles, and this is one of the items. This was a 1947 yearbook, and a 1945 yearbook, and a 1948, and this one is paper. I don't know if it's probably not technically a yearbook. Maybe it's just a different kind of class, or yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I'll have to look a little bit closer. And then over here, picked up some baby shower cards, and these are in the original little cellophane wrap with a date for the shower. I actually went to 2 showers. I think they were in the 70s, baby showers. So I don't know if they're kind of antiquated now, but I could not resist you know, the vintage Americana wedding showers and baby showers, and it is forever a natalist world. These were 2 for 25 cents, and I'm guessing these were probably 1963 to 1965. But really cool. Okay, and at the very end of this video, I have something really cool that I did find that's going to connect with my antinatalism and contraception spiel. This is a really interesting letter, and this is from 1953, and it is from Fort Benoit, Virginia, and I'm going to read this to you. Nobody's name is on here except the woman named Dot, which is kind of a generic name, but she writes this letter to her husband, who I guess, was in the service. So, Private Eugene, I won't give his last name, but March 16th, 1953. And in this particular letter, she describes some things which are quite, interesting and kind of go along with my principles of not bringing people into existence. My dearest darling, as you can see, I am writing this letter at the office on company time. I'm trying to keep my hubby happy by doing what he asks of me. We go to my mother's at about 3:15 a.m. And brother, am I tired. We didn't get lost this time, but we did run into some pretty thick fog just before we got on the turnpike. Gee, hon, I miss you more now than I ever did. And I could use more salts more than ever. I'm not sure what salts are, but unless they're bath salts. It was the happiest day I have had since you left, as you probably noticed, because of the way I dozed off in your arms, because it is quite hard for me to go to sleep, even when it is time to. I have to just about fall over before I go to bed. I can hardly wait until you come, and as I said before, I feel just like a new bride, and I think I have reason to. I don't like to typewrite my letters to you, but I have to pretend that I am working in case the boss happens to stick his nose in the door, because this new one is really a stinker. So, who doesn't dislike a boss or a coworker? So, that seems to be an eternal problem with humanity. I've told you about him before, and besides, I don't have time now to go into detail about him. I do really miss you, and I hope that things straighten themselves out and someone tells you what the hell is the matter with you and tries to get rid of those darn headaches, cough, and temperature for you. How did you feel this morning? I hope with my whole heart and soul that you are feeling better, and that if you do feel worse, that someone is taking a little more interest in you. I do wish that I could have brought you home with me so that you could get a little better care than you are at that gosh darn rat trap. You know what I really mean. So life is really not good. It wasn't good in 1953. We all get sick, and everybody has a boss of some sort, and in the service, I guess, he wasn't being treated for his coughs and colds or sinus problems. All the way home last night, I was trying to think what I could do to try to help you get over your sickness. And I came to the conclusion that I could go to the Red Cross and report them. But in the end, it would probably end up with you in trouble instead of the army. The no good bastards. And I really mean it. I am going to have to close this letter for now, but I will write to you again this evening because our dear boss just happened to stick his nose into the door, and I was just lucky that he didn't look to see what I was typing. I send all my love to my dearest hubby in the world and hope that he is feeling a little better. Your loving wife and best girl, Dot. Now, I'm not really sure if that person was the homeowner. There was a lot of memorabilia. There was about, 3 stories, or an attic and a basement and 2 stories and a garage and a kitchen and just a big house and lots of things going on. And I plucked this out of a dirty attic, a very, very dirty attic. And it was under some empty boxes and a lot of Playboy magazines. And I'm talking 300 Playboy magazines from at least the 60s through the, millennial. But the homeowner seemed to have been a painter. And I don't know if this was her daughter or if this was a self-portrait, but it is really, really, really good. And she did an excellent job. She had many paintings in the house. This was just one really, really unique painting. And I don't know if it's on a silk or if it's on a linen, because it's covered in like a thin layer of plastic. It's not a glass, and it's a homemade frame, as you can see. It's very humble. And there's the frame. Probably her husband made it, and only a staple to have hung it on the wall. And this seems to be one of the homeowner's paintings. And I kind of liked it because it was kind of Christmassy. And yes, some really, really old Americana. This is an apron, and I love kitchen and female things and anything Christmas. So it is a Christmas pattern of an apron, and it's probably dated 1965. And this is a very, very lucky find also. This is a like a bedspread of sorts, and it has a cording on it, and it's very typical of the era. Here we have like a rodeo roundup, a cow, bull, goat roper type of cowboy, and Yeah, there's a cowboy on a horse, and here's a horseshoe. Very, very typical of the mid-70s, or, I mean, the mid-60s into 1970. So, yeah, I washed this beautiful bedspread, and it is literally in mint condition. Now, another thing that I got, which was also in perfect condition, just absolutely never, ever used. It is a cocktail shaker, and it has, the recipes for some classic drinks. And it was actually in the attic, in a very dirty, dusty attic, with the roof peeling apart. And a fellow was looking at a sewing machine, and he moved a box, and in the box was this cocktail shaker. And the cocktail shaker was in plastic, so it looks to have never been used. Just truly awesome Americana, which I love treasuring, anything vintage. Now, some very interesting, I'm not going to go into detail about this, but I thought this was quite unique. 1990, Donald Trump. 1968. And this was a Playboy magazine, and I just happened to flip open to this page, and this particular woman, I won't go into her bust and her waist and her hip size, because that's not important. But here she says her ambitions: to be a millionaire before 35, married so I can have babies, get married so I can have babies. Oh my God. So her turn-ons are intelligent guys with a lot of class, and her turn-offs are people who do not want the best for others. Yeah. That's a big turn-off for me too. People who are envious or jealous, I hate those types. Now, this is something I picked up from the sale, and I'm not going to disclose what I'm going to use them for just yet, but I will eventually. But yeah, I was really, really happy to find these used paintbrushes, and I actually went into the sale today expecting to find some paintbrushes for my project. Okay, now, last but certainly not least was a curled up newspaper, and it is from May 27th, 1970. Has a very, very interesting article. Now, the newspaper was old. It was in the attic, and it was curled up. So I don't know what possessed me to unroll it, but I unrolled the paper, and I found, what is this anyway? Young men on their way. I'm not even sure what these men's pictures are. I love reading these old things. So anyway, I rolled out the paper, and I found the coolest article here. Seek safe pill for men. So I'm going to read this article from 1970. It is hilarious. London. The first progress in the long search for a safe contraceptive pill for men may have emerged from research now underway in the Unit of Reproductive Biology of Liverpool University. The word safe is the operative one, because there are 3 dangers ahead of the researcher seeking to circumvent the male reproductive apparatus, permanent sterility, impotence, and genetic damage. If these hazards did not exist, the research could be simplified by concentrating on the testes, which contain the male sperm-producing mechanism. But in view of the unacceptable physical and psychological dangers involved, researchers have been looking for some way of bypassing the testes. And Dr. Timothy Glover, who heads the Liverpool unit, has now shown that it is possible to sterilize sperm in the epididymis, a mass of tubes involved in male reproduction. The research was conducted on rats with a drug, 3-chloroipropanediol, dropped in the United States in 1967 when experiments looking towards its possible use as a male contraceptive showed it had toxic effects. Dr. Glover said that the discovery that sperm could be inactivated in the epididymis was extremely important. He stressed that the drug was only being used as a laboratory tool and would not be used in tests beyond those on the rats. We believe that a male contraceptive, ideally, should not markedly affect the sperm-producing mechanisms of the testes, he said. This is a very delicate process of cell division which could be easily upset and be dangerous if tampered with. But when you are dealing with the epididymis, you are only affecting formed sperm. The other danger of drugs acting on the testes is the possible effect that might have on the production of testosterone. Here we go. A male contraceptive should not affect a man's masculinity or libido. And, I mean, God forbid we create a pill for men that has a side effect, because female hormonal contraceptives have many, many side effects, including cancer and stroke and even death, and many, many monthly side effects, including emotional disturbances and weight gain and water gain and just a host of things. So, and I have actually heard that male contraception has been delayed, and I will remind you, this is 1970, this newspaper, and it is now 2020. So we still do not have a pill for men, and the everything that I've ever read concerning that is the fact that males do not want the side effects that women have put up with for eternity since, the late 50s or something. So I just found that article just so fascinating. But yeah, Hoffman's, this is a store in Pittsburgh. It's no longer here. Here's some prices from 1970. Here we have $3 sandals, and look how fashionable they are. Buster Brown. Yep. There you go. Buster Brown. That was the logo. A bully breed dog and a beret wearing child. I'm sure I had some Buster Browns when I was young. But yeah, it was a really, really fun day, and I picked up some great memorabilia, and this was just a few of the things I wanted to show everybody. And I got a lot more content. I got a whole suitcase full of letters and correspondence and postcards, and it'll take a while before I make my way to uncovering all of those pieces of documentation and history. So this was a really, really fascinating day. I was at the estate sale for about 3 hours, and I got there literally after everything was picked over because I didn't get there early. So it was a remarkable sale for many, many reasons, and so I just, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching this far.